in the Too Many Rides garage, and today's the day. Today's the day we're gonna ride, even if it's only a small ride. You see? I just got my sprocket yesterday. Nice, huh? It's from Sprocket Specialties, and I've already had 2 sprockets that are wrong. This is right. I had to have it made. 51 tooth for hole number 3. I'm gonna put this rear sprocket on, cut a chain to length, and finish up and start hole number 3. So stick around till the end of the video when I actually ride in the backyard. Okay, so there you go. It's that easy. There's axle grease to be cleaned. I gotta clean the spacers and the axle, lube things up, install the sprocket. So this isn't gonna be that hard of a job. It's just another set of stuff to clean up. Here's your disc brake side. It's tough pulling that through because of the axle grease that's on it. Alright, so it needs some persuasion just because of the axle grease here. That was enough to where I didn't have to use a punch. And you see it scraped all the grease right off it. All that old trail dirt and everything. That sits right inside the bearing right there. So that's why it was so tough to get out. Anyway, okay, so a little bit of cleanup left here, you know, just some light cleanup. Clean up those parts, and I can get going on the installing stuff. Hours later, this thing is good enough to accept a sprocket. I've really been having trouble getting this sprocket, but I finally got it. And let's get it on. Let's get it on. I want to put a special thanks out to Sprocket Specialties. This sprocket was done under a normal run. I was able to talk with the guy who owns the place in person, make sure I was getting the right sprocket, and he knew just what I was talking about. He says on an XR 600, the biggest you can go is 53 teeth, and the smallest you can go is 39 for a rear sprocket. I had the wrong wrench. I need this one, which has pretty slim head to get between the hub and the nut. Otherwise, I'd have to be using open end. You know, they really want you to put Loctite on here, but as tight as these get, I don't think they could ever loosen up. And so I'm not using any Loctite. .51 tooth. Hard to come by in this day and age. You just about have to go out and make it. I had tried to clean the rear wheel, but it wasn't clean enough. I've just gone through and taken care of these pieces. They were covered in a type of grease that amounted to dried up dirt. It was gum. It was gum on there. It was very difficult to get it off. I'm having to add one of these clips for here because it only had one on it. When it comes to the axle itself going in, it's going in from the drive side. That's the way it goes. You can put it in the other way, but you know, you're blowing it. Speaking of grease, I do want to put this back together with some, you know, I just want to film, but you're just gonna have to put it on. So what goes on here too? Well, you've got your chain adjuster, and then your clip, and then your drive side wheel spacer. First thing we've got is a spacer. On the brake side, the first thing you got is your wheel spacer. Go ahead and put lube on that. Okay. Now, a whole series of stuff goes on here. We're going to want to have our clip. We have our chain adjuster, our washer, and our nut. Nurturing the old 600, it now comes to the part where we have to do a little dance with the rear wheel axle, chain adjusters, brake caliper, all at the same time. With one hand while holding the wheel in the other hand. You gotta slide all that in place into the groove and stuff. So it's a dance. Let's see if I can dance. First thing you want to start out with is trying to approximate the distance you need for the forks of the swing arm and get your wheel close on up. So here you've got to get this caliper fork onto the axle. And to do that, you also have to have your shoes. You have to have your pads. Pads got to come down on the disc. They give you a little steel bracket here that you can kind of set your axle on. You gotta separate your brake pads there. Get the forking thing in, which has a peg that has to fit that slot, but you're also trying to get up into this slider at the same time. Slide up onto that groove that's located on the inside of this right side swing arm. Let's get you a better look here. You're gonna have a hard time seeing what's going on unless you got that angle, that angle. Okay, so we got it in. And now I'm just putting these little clips here so I don't lose the darn thing off the back end. I'm gonna set this up, tighten down. I gotta get a chain length. We're going to take care of a chain here next. Rear disc guard is completely broken off, and I don't have any replacements on hand, so I had to buy one. On the shark fin, they're giving you some screws because they know you're going to need the longer screws, and here they are. They look to be stainless steel, which is good, but I'm going to use these instead. So they have a larger head on them. Have to get a chain on the bike. It's one of the last things. Not the last, but one of the last is getting this taken care of. I can be doing a little bit of testing. Anyway, I've got a new chain and it's 120 links, so it's gonna be too long. It's in a sealed package, and I'm not prepared to open a sealed package. Wheel as far forward as you can get it. I've got it set here at about 5. Then you want to stretch the chain out to the approximate slack you would have normally and see where you need to cut. Now if that ends up being too slack, I can always adjust the chain out. Put this thing like that, and we'll adjust the slack out. So here's my actual spot right here. Destroying that link to separate what's left from what I need. Okay, let's take care of that. Take 1, grinding. Take 1, old number 3, nurture chain. Take 1, nurture chain on old number 3, nurture new chain. with the chain cut down to size, I can go ahead and put it on and install the master link. Lots of slack in there. Press on and press off. It's two different systems here. So for press on, that's a lot of slack I got to take up with the chain adjuster. That's going to bring me out to 15 at least just to get started, if not more. It might put me at about 20 or 25. Okay, I can't see what's really going on behind the scenes of this thing, but I can assume that everything is going smoothly by the feel of this. Okay, so I've reached the hilt. Oh yeah, that's on there. We've got some hell of adjustment to do here. We're gonna have to bring these snail adjusters out to... I'm gonna start at 15 and see if that does the job. Now we're doing this with just one camera. I hope you haven't gotten too used to this multiple camera thing. You won't be able to see the snail adjuster on the other side. Okay, I'll bring in the overhead for you. You know, if you're gonna sit and cry like a baby, then alright, see, I'm going the extra mile for you. 2 cameras for this. That there is 15 over there. 15 there, and the chain is still way too slack. I mean, way too slack. So, we're gonna have to go out, I'm estimating now 22. I'm estimating 22, but that's not necessarily the final. There's 20, 1, 2. It's supposed to have 1 3/4 inches. It's right here on the side. It says 1 5/8 inches free play up and down here, and I'm good with that. That's not too loose for now. It's a brand new chain. You don't want to over tighten it. So we're going to go with 22, 20, 21, 22. 22. We're looking really good on those. Here's where we tighten up the axle good and tight. But I like it tight. That wasn't a tremendous amount of torque. I'm just doing it slow and feeling it. It's tight though. Wow, this is amazing. I've just got like one more piece to put on over here on the other side. You want to watch? Okay, hang on. Okay, well this is it, ladies and gentlemen. As far as I can figure in my mind, this is the last piece I need to put on. This is where all the confetti falls and the cheers from the crowd erupt. This is where it all happens, right here. Now, I don't have the stock sprocket. I got a smaller sprocket here, you know. I gotta get this case saver in place here. We're gonna have to bash our wires out of the way right there. Jeez, I can't believe they're touching. So I need a screwdriver or something to help pry that back so it's not so interfering. Okay, let's try this again with all the goodies. Let's get her down off the blocks now and see if it'll perform. Anyways, 2023, and I've just finished the last nuts and bolts. Sure, there's going to be test rides and adjustments, but this is what you got. This is what we're working with here now. It's a 2000 XR600R. It's got some 1996 body parts on it. It has not been used much. Got a GPR steering stabilizer on there. Got rid of the odometer completely. Stock forks, headlight, fender. It's got a skid pan that's never been skid on. It's got an FMF muffler that has absolutely no dirt stuck to the back side. No heated up, burnt on dirt. It hasn't been through that yet. It still remains to get burnt on. I just went through and fixed up a lot of stuff. I nurtured this bike quite heavily. And like I said previously, it's not really going to get full test until next year. Not that I won't try to take it out in between. I just won't have an opportunity. This is why I don't like OEM fork boots. Alright, you know, I can go ahead and put a boot on and start it. It's a pretty good feeling. You know, this is a good dirt bike. I'm sure of it. I'm glad you guys got to see old number 3 come together. Now watch him on the trail. Those of you who have been keeping an eye on my channel have already seen me start old number 3. But here we go again on a different day. This time I have a chain and sprockets and I can run the thing. Let's give her a try. We're gonna put this bike on reserve and go through the regular procedure. Throttle partly open. Run it through, prime it. Top dead center. I gotta have a leg to stand on here. My platform. Okay, full choke, second kick. Oh, cold-blooded, huh? Okay, well, I'm gonna reposition the camera because we're gonna just warm this thing out and then try putting it in gear. Reposition, please. riding it. You know, I've ridden it before, not much. I couldn't really use it. I could only get into third gear for a moment. Anyway, everything seemed good except for I kind of heard a rattle sound that sounded like a loose, like something I didn't put on all the way or something. Something was loose, and I'll have to look at that. But what I really need to do is take this up to the mountains and get a good ride in so I can see all the different things that I need to do. And so tomorrow, next day, go for a ride.